They are hypocrites and they are businessmen and women.
How are they businessmen?
Oh, because the LGBTQ community is looking for people who they will pay to advocate for them.
Welcome back to Legal Agenda. So far we've been discussing sexual preference as a human rights issue. And Honorable Sam George has been addressing us on some of the things in the bill that we must know whether it's in line with our fundamental human rights or whether it's against our rights. I mean, so far that's what we've been discussing. But I want to also quickly mention that we invited the LGBTQ community to also share their opinion on this discussion, but they declined. That's how come we have only the Honorable MP here in our studio. But Honorable, we want you to quickly address us on the financial implication this bill will have on our economy, because we also know that a number of countries or a number of states which have been able to legalize this have had some sort of support from the LGBTQ community or countries that seem to agree to this gay activities or LGBTQ activities. So don't you think this will have some form of financial implication on our economy? I think that is the reason why this one Odoi in the Central Region, Dr. Amanda Odoi, sued the Speaker of Parliament because, I mean, she feels that these things, financial implication was not looked at or was not considered. So do you think this will have an implication? Because I know that some countries are getting a lot of help. I know recently Uganda also passed the bill. And so it means that they've already declared their stand that we don't care whatever you do to us, we are okay by ourselves. Can Ghana say the same thing? Looking at where our economy is going.
Our economy is where it is, even if they carried all the LGBTQ money to give to Ghana and we did not put our own house in order, we'll still be in a mess. You understand me? So, I mean, you should cut your coat according to your size. Will you say that because your child is asking you for a Ferrari, you will go and steal or you would go and engage in an illegal activity? Okay. Absolutely not. I won't go and become a prostitute because my child wants me to provide something that I cannot provide. I cut my coat according to my size. If Ghana decides to be more prudent in our expenditure and we cut out corruption by politicians and civil servants, we really do not need any help. And the reality is foreign aid to our budget support is less than 2%. Less than 2%. So really, what are we losing? I mean, for that reason, you would open up for a practice that brings attendant health conditions. It increases all the challenges that it brings. It reduces your life expectancy. Today, many of these European countries are doing free bonto for Africans and Ghanaians to come into their country. Why? Because their population is dying. They've not been able to regenerate. They don't have enough young people to fill their workforce. So they're opening up for us. That's the consequence of some of these things. They are now beginning to deal with it because they started 30 years ago.
Okay.
30, 40 years down the line, that's when you see the full effect of this perversion. And now they are struggling because they don't have enough young people to fill their workforce. Is that where we want to take our? Is that the country kind of legacy we want to leave for the next generation? You have a prevalence of STIs. Look, because of this LGBTQ nonsense that is growing in Ghana, you're beginning to see HIV/AIDS increase in Ghana. And the Ghana AIDS Commission is telling us that almost 73% of new infections are coming from MSMs, men having sex with men. And government is having to subsidize antiretrovirals. So what government should use to provide a school in a deprived community is using to subsidize antiretrovirals because some silly man somewhere decided to have sex with another man and get HIV/AIDS. Because don't forget, I've told you, it's 40 times more likely for you to get HIV/AIDS as a man having sex with a man. Apart from that, the substance abuse. Already, we are struggling with young boys and girls on tramadol and abusing all kinds of, right now, glue, carpenter's glue is shortened because people are getting, they are burning the glue and inhaling the fumes. You now want to introduce a behavior that lends itself to substance abuse. Can we deal with it? Do you know the cost to the United States in dealing with the opioid crisis? Do we have the resources for that? Or you open your doors because they are going to give you some small $1 billion, $2 billion over a long period of time, and then you open yourself up to now create a problem where you need 10 billion. Then you now have to go back to these same people for loans to come and build hospitals to deal with this, and you remain forever indebted to them.
Because we always go, don't we?
Why should we keep going? Let us manage our resources. Let us manage our resources well. Let us stop. Look, we've just gone for a 3 billion loan facility from the IMF over 3 years. So literally almost $1 billion every year. $1 billion before our currency devalued itself was just 6 billion Ghana cedis. In 2020, Auditor General's report, misappropriation of state funds was 22 billion. That's over $3 billion.
So it means it's the attitude of the politicians. That's how come
politicians and civil servants. Because the civil service is also corrupt. So it is the mismanagement of our public funds. Last week in Parliament, I'm on the Public Accounts Committee. In presenting our reports, I mentioned the name of a Mr. Kwame Bartels, who was a mortuary man and stole mortuary fees worth over 70,000. You steal and steal from the dead. The mortuary fees that were paid, over 70,000, he stole it. He's a civil servant, he's not a politician. And the punishment was to transfer him to another mortuary to go and continue stealing there. So when we continue to do and engender such practices in our public service, you will continue to go and beg when you don't need to beg. So the problem
it will be very difficult to pass the bill.
Why will it be difficult to pass the bill?
If we keep going to them,
you will continue going to beg, but we will pass the bill. As for the bill, we will pass. Maybe if we pass the bill to engender prudent management, where you can no longer go and borrow money, then you become serious about managing your resources better. Because we ought to be able to run this country without borrowing.
Okay.
Don't you run your household without borrowing money? Don't you run your household on your salary?
I do.
So why can't Ghana do so? Ghana is the president's household. You should manage the country.
That has always been the talk. But
it's been wrong. So we need to get to a place, whether NDC or MPP, we need to get to a place where if this is our money that we have, let us cut our quota according to our size and live within our means. How would we call a man who is owing everybody in the neighborhood because he wants to live a lavish lifestyle for his wife and children? And then secondly, it is because the West have made themselves the baller for the recalcitrant and despicable characters in our community. If you say you made yourself a dustbin for the dumping of people with mental illness, madmen will come to you. So if they say they want them, they should give them visas to go. And those of us who think that we are straight, we'll stay in our country and fix our country. Yes. Look, a doctor in Reach called me and told me that someone had got into the US. He went in there, got a conference visa, got to the US, and then now went to file for asylum there that he's a victim of homophobic violence.
Yes.
And then called the doctor at Reach to fake a medical report that he had seen him here in Ghana, because the law enforcement officers there were asking for medical reports
to show that.
Yes. This doctor said, I can't do that. But you see, that will happen when you have countries that have become the dustbin and made themselves the dumping ground for despicable characters. Despicable characters will play them and game their system to get in there. And they should continue with it. But don't forget, a revolution has started in the US itself. A revolution has started in Europe itself.
Okay.
Where in the US, people are now beginning to take on the LGBTQ community and say you cannot dictate to us. States are beginning in 2021 alone. There were 331 different pieces of legislation against LGBTQ in U.S. state legislators, houses of legislature across the U.S.
Okay.
I just gave you the example of Florida that this year, this June, passed legislation against transgender gay parades.
Okay.
I've given you an example of the U.S. Defense Secretary that has banned a parade on the U.S. Air Force base.
Yeah.
You understand me?
Yeah.
The revolution has started. Ghana is in the forefront of it, and I'm proud to be Ghanaian that we are taking this fight to the doorstep of the LGBTQ community, and we will stop them from corrupting our children.
Honorable, but just your final question. Do you get attacked for pushing this?
Oh, plenty.
Okay.
Oh, plenty is everywhere.
How do you deal with that with your family and all that?
My family, I try as best as possible to protect them because they are not in. But you see, you're dealing with a bunch of intolerant. You are dealing with a bunch of intolerant people.
Because you mentioned that 93% of Ghanaians are against this LGBTQ activity. So if 93% of people are supporting you, then why is your life at risk? Why are you being attacked? Because 93% is a majority.
I haven't said my life is at risk.
Well, let me put it that way, because I mean, I consider them the kicks of a dying horse. I consider them the rantings. I said they are mentally unstable people. So mentally unstable people rant and misbehave. That's how I consider all the things they do. It's not going to shake me. The harder they come, the stronger I push. Okay, so they can continue all their agitations at the international fora that I'm supposed to speak at and all of that. I don't care. We will push our belief, and I get support from across the world. Irrespective of the fact that, yes, we get hate mail, we get all kinds of pushbacks, we also get phone calls, you get emails. You go... From the West?
Yes, from the West and from across Africa.
Okay.
Okay, I was in London, and I was speaking at a conference, and after introducing myself, when I finished speaking, people walked up to me and said, "Are you the one we had on BBC?"
Okay.
And I said, "Yes, with Claire McDowell." God bless you for what you're doing. We stand with you. Continue this fight. I mean, as for Africa, it is a different ballgame. Anywhere I go to on the African continent, we're celebrated for this fight that we're pushing. And so, I mean, for me, I focus on the positives. I'm not swayed by the negatives. I mean, you have the kicks of a dying horse, but this thing, we will kill it.
Everyone needs the perfect snack to munch on during a fun moment. Wow. Enjoy the tasty McBerry Twist cupcakes, deliciously baked and packaged for a sweet treat. Premium quality cakes baked with love for all, enriched in butter and milk.
Yummy.
McBerry Twist cupcakes, simply irresistible. Try one today. This advert is FDA approved.
Honorable, I know the LGBTQ goes beyond homosexuals and lesbians. So, but with this bill, I see it to be centered on only gays and lesbians.
No. We tackle. And
if I may finish, because of that, people who are not gays or lesbians but identify themselves as other kind of queer groups find solace in joining this group, LGBTQ plus groups, because I mean there is no shelter kind of for them, so they feel that let's identify with the gays, let's identify with the lesbians. Is this bill?
No, the bill deals with more than that. If you look at the bill deals with about nine various offenses, and I could I'll pull out and share with you. But the bill deals not just with gays and lesbians, it deals with transsexuals, it deals with asexuals, it deals with...
I know some identify themselves as children even.
Yeah, I mean
why would someone be punished for being identified as a child?
Okay, so that's where the problem is. A 60-year-old man identifying as a 14-year-old boy goes to have sex with a 12-year-old girl. What is that? Per our law, that is pedophilia.
Yeah.
you've had sex with a child under the age of 18, but the person turns around and says to you that I identify as a 14-year-old boy. If you respect that identification, you then have pedophiles.
So, I mean, I'm thinking that person who says he's a child of 14 years and having sex with a 12-year-old, there is nothing wrong. I'm assuming.
How can there be nothing wrong?
So,
our law says you cannot have sex with a person, consensual sex with a person who is under 18 years. If you do that, you are a pedophile, and that's an offense. Now, if that 60-year-old man,
no, under 16, let's correct that. 16 years,
16, fine. If that 60-year-old man now says who has had sex with a 14-year-old girl who should be prosecuted for pedophilia, now tells you that he identifies as 14 years. So he has not committed an offense. Because this will no longer be pedophilia. Exactly. It will be two underage people having sex.
Okay.
Which is not in itself a crime under the laws.
Definitely.
So then you realize that if you open this window, you're opening Pandora's box. You will no longer be able to deal with any pedophile. The offense, and in fact, pedophiles
but once
today,
I'm caught, I'll just say I'm a child.
I'm a child. I identify as this. In fact, today, pedophiles are saying that I won't be surprised that one of the 100 designations of gender now out, because they say we shouldn't call them pedophiles, we should call them MAP, minor attracted persons.
Okay.
And yeah, but yes, again, that you are sleeping, grown man sleeping with a child, and or having affections for children, and you say that we should call you that you are a minor attracted person. That's how they identify. Some of them are even beginning to identify as trans-abled. So you have people going to the hospital and chopping off their limbs, amputating their hand because they want to identify as a disabled person. It's the same way an officer from one of the foreign missions came to my office to have a conversation with me on this bill and asked me to drop it. And I asked the person, if I woke up without a visa and went to Kotoka International Airport and said I wanted to sit on a plane to go to your country because I feel transnational, I wake up today and I feel that I am a citizen of your country, would you allow me go? He said, oh, that's absurdity. Oh, because I'll have to come and pay visa fee to you. That one there is not normal. But someone waking up and cutting their hand, somebody who is a man, deep voice, wakes up and tells you that he's a woman because he's done makeup, he's worn pons and eyelash. I mean, how do we even begin to accept such pure insanity as a way of life and as human rights? I mean, it is an insult to what we call human rights. And people who have really suffered human rights violations in dictatorial regimes. For anybody to want to bring people's perversions and equate it to human rights. And we must call them out. And not just them, but those who seek to support them. And you know, those are the people who are the most reprehensible. These are people who themselves have married men, women who have married men, men who have married women, people whose children are marrying in heterosexual rights, relationships. And they are busy advocating and pushing for other people's children to go. How wicked can you be? All in the name of human rights advocates.
We want to know, because so far with all the things you have said, that I mean, with the kind of force and the energy you are speaking to on this matter, makes a lot of people think that you are passing the bill to criminalize them. But I see that
they're already criminal. They're already criminal.
No, they are not.
They are. Section 104. You see, no, that's the point I'm making. Today, if you go and if the police catch you having anal sex, it's a criminal offense. Section 104 of Act 29, which is our criminal offences code, prohibits unnatural carnal knowledge.
Definitely.
And there is a case that the Supreme Court has distinguished what natural carnal knowledge is, Bano Singh versus the Republic, where they have spoken about what natural carnal knowledge is, which is natural sex. It is the penetration, the least level of penetration of the vulva of vagina by a penis.
I agree
the court
with
has
that.
determined that. So anything outside that is illegal, as we speak today.
I agree with that. That is what he stated. But the point is, because of this bill, a lot of times when people they are not, I mean, once they suspect that this person is a gay, they attack those people or they attack those persons. I mean, because they think that once they are caught, you have to do this to them. The society don't accept this behavior. as you have already intimated or mentioned. But I see that in, I don't know whether this is the old bill, but in clause 15, clause 14 to 15, basically is to protect these victims. I will read something to you. Clause 19 to 23, deal with the protection and support for victims, accused and other persons. How come we are not preaching that? But a number of times what we tend to, preach about is what will happen to you. We will do this to you. We will do that to you. But we are not also focusing much. If you think that, you have said that by your own words, this is a mental condition. So it means that those people need help, right? But I don't see that, because you've tabled it here, it's stated in your clause 19 to 23. But that has not been pushed enough for people to know that if I identify as such and such person, then there will be help for me. But we are not talking about that.
Last year alone, the Coalition on the Promotion of Proper Human Sexual Rights and Ghanaian Family Values treated over 400 Ghanaian people who came to them seeking help. Over 400. So we're not waiting for this bill. The coalition has been doing this work for years.
But a lot of people don't know about
those
this.
who are in that
so
area.
If you can
no, those who are in that area know. They reach out to the coalition. People who want help reach out to the coalition. The coalition has been helping people with endocrinological treatments and all of that. Look, in this bill, we actually, and again, when the suggestion is made that this bill is making people attack LGBTQ people, it's a lie from the pit of hell.
Okay.
It's not factual.
Okay.
Because we have been in this country as far back as 2007, 2000 and whatever. We've had instances where people have been beaten on suspicion of being LGBTQ. Was this bill there?
It wasn't there, but it's not right. So we are just trying to correct what is wrong in the society.
No. So the attack by society on persons perceived to be engaged in this is not because of this bill. Let's be clear on that. It predates this bill. So when they try to tell you because of this bill, again, it is the misinformation and disinformation of the evil LGBTQ cabal. Now, because we are minded about a 360 approach to dealing with this, in our bill, we actually criminalize attacking persons accused. Because, look, listen, this bill is respecting everybody's fundamental human rights.
So that's what we want
the human rights
to bring
that
to
we
bear.
believe that homosexuals have. It's not the right to practice their perversion. It is the right to a fair trial before a competent court of jurisdiction.
That is it.
And so anybody who carries out extrajudicial treatment, you can go to jail for up to 3 years. It's in our bill. They don't talk about it. It's there in the bill.
But because most of you keep talking about what will happen to you, but rather
we respond. No. When the media calls me, I respond to the questions that you ask.
Okay. So mostly the questions are centered
on they say you do this to them. They say you do this to them. The bill is in Parliament. The bill will be passed. You understand me? The bill will be passed in its entirety with everything in the bill. And when we begin the clause by clause debates on the floor of the House, people, it's going to be televised nationwide. People will then see the full extent of the bill. So
because so far there have been so much negative impression out there regarding the bill, and it needs to be addressed.
We are not. No, we won't address it. They won't set this. They won't set the marking scheme for us. I'm not going to address the question set by the people who the bill is going to deal with. No.
Okay.
It's what we've done before the committee, and the bill is going to go through Parliament. All of these engagements we do is out of respect for you as a media house, and building based on the long-standing relationships we have. But I'm not under any compulsion to grant an interview or respond to your questions, because your questions or my answers on this platform have absolutely no consideration on the floor of the House.
Okay.
It is what is in Parliament, and that's why I say all the advocates making noise, they have no voice on the floor of the House. On the floor of the House, when MPs are talking.
But at least people should feel comfortable. People should feel comfortable that, there is a help, kind of a support system for them. Once they...
Listen, and like I said, the bill has changed. The bill has changed to a very large extent, because all of these issues about offering support and all have been taken out of the final bill.
Wow.
Yes. Because you see, in trying to help them, when they saw this, it forms the basis of part of the suits in courts.
Okay.
Where they are saying that this would attract money from the states to help them. Okay, so fine. Nobody is doing that. We already have a system that offers help to the people who really want it. Those making noise, they don't want help. Most of the people who are making noise and advocating are not looking for help to get out of that evil lifestyle. They're not looking for help. They actually want the room to perpetrate their perversion. Those who want help, they're not worried about the bill. Because if they get the help and they know where to get the help, they will no longer be people that this bill will be dealing with. Do you get the point I'm making? Those who are making noise are people who want to remain in the insanity.
But we see a lot of people who are activists for. I don't want to mention any name, but there are people who are activists, but they are not doing it.
Homosexuals.
Well, some are not.
Hypocrites. They are hypocrites and they are businessmen and women.
How are they businessmen?
Oh, because the LGBTQ community is looking for people who they will pay to advocate for them. Many of them.
So are you saying that they are being paid?
That many of them were paid to put together memos to come to Parliament. Yes, we know. We know for a fact
that they were paid.
They were paid to do the legal opinions that they did. That's why none of their children is a homosexual. That's why they all danced at their children's weddings when their sons brought women home to marry. They didn't tell their sons to go back and go and find a man to come and marry. They themselves have been married, some of them 3 times. And each time they got married to a man. They never married a woman. So why, if what they are preaching, they believe, you practice what you preach. If the person is, if someone is selling a medication to you, and the person is unwilling to take the medicine that he's selling, you should be careful. You should know that medicine will kill you. And look, when you look at the statistics from the Center for Disease Control, the CDC of the US, this is what it says about homosexuality. When it comes to things like violence, in heterosexual relationships, the prevalence of violence, rape, in heterosexual relationships is 17%. In homosexual relationships, it's 46%.
Okay.
Almost 3 times.
Okay.
Sexual violence other than rape in heterosexual relationships is 43%.
Okay.
In homosexual relationships, 75%.
Okay. Intimate
partner violence, meaning your boyfriend on girlfriend, or husband on wife, or vice versa. In heterosexual relationships, it's 35% prevalent.
Okay.
In homosexual relationships, 61% prevalent. Now, if you go to things like alcoholism, in all adults, the prevalence of alcoholism in heterosexual adults is 26%. In homosexual adults, it's 41.5%. If you drill down to women, in heterosexual women, alcoholism is in 17.2% of women. In lesbians or bisexual women, it is 34.9%, more than twice. If you come to heterosexual men, it is 35.1% alcoholism. In homosexual men, that's gay men, it is 56.3%. When it comes to suicidal thoughts and emotional distress, in all heterosexual adults, it is 3.9% prevalent. In homosexuals, it is 11% prevalent, over 3 times, almost 4 times more in them. When heterosexuals have unprotected sex, the possibility of contracting HIV is 4%. In homosexuals, it is 40%.
That's very high.
So how then do you tell me that this is a better way of life? How? It makes you more alcoholic. It makes you more substance abusive. It makes you more violent to your partner. It makes you suicidal. How is this a better way of life? And the people who are preaching this from the West have criminalized polygamy. And people are not asking them, why is polygamy illegal in their countries? It's because of money.
Honorable,
let me make this point. It's the first time I'll make this point on a public platform.
Okay.
polygamy is criminalized in Europe and America because of taxes, money.
Okay.
Because you see, in those countries, when you are a single person, most times you pay almost 50% tax. Once you marry, your tax becomes a household tax. So the husband and wife share the 50%. So now each person pays only 25%. So if I was single and you were single, I'll be paying 50% of my salary, you'll be paying 50% of your salary. If we get married, we both drop to 25%. Now imagine if they allow me to marry 4 wives. And we are 5.
Divided by.
We will now start paying 10%, 10%. So because government will make less money from the people in taxes, that's why they've made polygamy illegal. That's all. So it's about money for them.
Okay.
It is not about anything scientific.
Okay.
And because for them, most heterosexuals will not even get into a marriage. So they can still continue to tax them more. They're supporting it.
Okay.
And we sit here and want to import that madness. God forbid.
Okay. It's been an interesting conversation, and we want to thank Honorable Sam George for coming to our studio to discuss this very, very important discussion on the activities of the LGBTQ community and whether sexual preference is a human rights issue. We believe you've learned enough. You've learned a lot of things today. And so until we come your way again next week, it's been Legal Agenda, and my name is Matilda Boateng Nartey. Thanks for watching.